A lot of things went on, but as far as LeBron and Michael, if Michael played in this era, he'll average 50. They average 50 points. Michael is the greatest player ever. LeBron's a great talent, no doubt. He's probably one of the top 3 players ever played with Kobe, Magic, Kareem.
When Dennis Rodman speaks, the basketball world listens, because this is not just another analyst sitting behind a desk. This is one of the toughest warriors who went to battle night after night with Michael Jordan. Rodman saw the man up close. He felt the intensity, and he lived through the era that defined greatness. And now, Rodman has reignited the debate that has raged for years. Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. He did not mince words. He laid it out with the raw honesty that only Dennis Rodman can deliver. This conversation is not just about stats, trophies, or popularity. This is about greatness, about legacy, about the standard that was set so high that no one, not even LeBron James, can truly reach it. And before we dive into Rodman's fiery quotes and break down what they mean for the legacy of Michael Jordan and LeBron James, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and join the conversation in the comments below. NBA Showdown delivers the hardest debates, the rawest opinions, and the truth about basketball's greatest legends, and you do not want to miss a single episode. Now let us get into why Dennis Rodman believes Jordan would absolutely dominate today's NBA, and why LeBron, while still great, remains just short of that immortal bar Jordan created. Dennis Rodman starts by pointing out something that cannot be ignored when comparing Michael Jordan and LeBron James: longevity and the body of work. He mentions Jordan's career in one breath and then brings up LeBron's journey into his 17th and 18th seasons in another. This comparison is critical because it highlights 2 completely different career arcs. Michael Jordan's greatness was condensed, explosive, and unforgiving. He burned brighter and harder in a shorter span, leaving behind a career that is etched in history as perfection at its peak. LeBron James, on the other hand, has built a career that is long, durable, and full of incredible milestones. But here is where the distinction becomes undeniable. Jordan never needed to stretch his dominance into 2 decades to be recognized as the greatest. In just over a decade, he carved out 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, and a reputation as the most unstoppable force in basketball. His body of work does not need to be padded with longevity because the intensity of his reign was unmatched. Rodman is essentially saying that you cannot just look at how many years a player lasted in the league. You must look at how high they soared when it mattered most. Jordan's body of work is not measured in seasons but in dominance. He set the bar by squeezing the absolute maximum out of every year he played at his peak. LeBron may be in his 17th or 18th year, and that is commendable, but it is more about survival than supremacy. Jordan's body of work was about absolute domination, about raising the standard so high that no amount of longevity could touch it. That is why Rodman opens here. He is setting the stage by reminding us that while LeBron's career is impressive in terms of length, Jordan's career is unmatched in terms of impact. One is about playing a long time, the other is about defining time itself. That is why Jordan set the bar too high.
I just think that if you look at Michael, the body of work he's done over the years, you look at LeBron, the body of work he's done over the years. How many years? 17 now, going to 18?
Rodman wastes no time in cutting through the debate with blunt honesty. Michael Jordan is the greatest player ever. Coming from Rodman, who played with both Jordan and against other all-time greats, this statement carries an authenticity that analysts or fans cannot replicate. This is not about bias. This is about experience. Rodman was in the trenches with Jordan. He saw him practice, he saw him compete, and he saw him dominate opponents who had every reason to fear him. When Rodman says Jordan is the greatest, he is not repeating a cliche. He is confirming a truth he lived, and that truth is tied to how Jordan completely changed the way basketball was played, consumed, and celebrated. He elevated the game to a global phenomenon, becoming the blueprint for every superstar who came after. Even LeBron James admits that his inspiration and drive came from watching Jordan. Yet despite acknowledging the influence, fans still try to elevate LeBron above the very man he modeled himself after. Rodman's statement is the ultimate reality check. Greatness is not just about numbers on a stat sheet. It is about who redefined the game, who dominated every matchup, who demanded respect by showing up in the biggest moments and never faltering. Jordan is that player. He was ruthless in his approach, surgical in his execution, and unrelenting in his pursuit of victory. He did not just win, he crushed his opponents and left no doubt. That is why when Rodman says Michael is the greatest, it echoes louder than most opinions. It is a player who lived the experience, telling the world what it already knows deep down. Jordan is the standard, he is the bar, and no one, not even LeBron, has cleared it.
Michael is the greatest player ever.
Rodman then points to something that highlights Jordan's unparalleled toughness and commitment: his durability. He recalls that Jordan was injured only once in his entire career, and even then, Jordan never asked to sit out, never begged for rest, and never tried to manipulate the system to conserve energy. This matters because it directly challenges the modern NBA culture where load management has become normal and stars frequently rest for preservation. Jordan was wired differently. He played through pain, through exhaustion, and through adversity because he understood that fans paid to see him, his team relied on him, and history would not wait. weight. The idea of asking out of games for minor soreness or strategically sitting during back-to-backs would have been blasphemous to Jordan. This toughness set the tone for his teammates and struck fear into his opponents. They knew he would be there every single night, giving maximum effort, and that consistency made him unshakable. Contrast that with LeBron's era, where extended absences, injury recovery breaks, and calculated rest days are normal. While it is not fair to blame LeBron for adapting to his era's sports science, it does underscore Rodman's point. Jordan was simply built different. He did not just play. He fought for every minute on the floor, valuing competition above convenience. That mentality is why his 6 championships came in such a concentrated, unforgiving stretch. He never took shortcuts, never sought easy outs, and never compromised the integrity of the game. That relentless durability is part of what makes Jordan untouchable. Rodman highlights it to remind everyone that greatness is not only about talent, it is also about willpower, commitment, and the refusal to ever take the easy way out. Jordan never asked to sit out, and that single mindset alone widened the gap between him and LeBron forever.
Michael's been injured one time. He never asked to sit out.
Jordan's demand for respect wasn't just about being admired. It was about being trusted to lead by example. He put his blood, sweat, and soul into every practice, every possession, and every playoff series. When he pushed teammates hard, he wasn't asking them to follow orders blindly. He was asking them to rise to a standard he lived by himself. That respect was mutual, forged through fire and competition, not through public relations spin or narrative manipulation. Contrast that with LeBron, who often leans on media narratives, surrounding himself with hype about longevity and statistical milestones. Respect in Jordan's world was never requested. It was earned and exchanged through the grind. Rodman highlights that dynamic perfect. Jordan wasn't begging for loyalty. He wasn't maneuvering behind the scenes. He wasn't politicking like a corporate CEO. He was a general who only required 2 things: respect for his leadership and fair compensation for his unmatched production. And when those 2 conditions were met, the result was the most dominant dynasty the league has ever seen.
He never asked me anything, but only he asked for respect and money.
This statement reveals a truth about Michael Jordan's era that people often overlook when they try to compare him to modern stars like LeBron James. Jordan played the majority of his prime years before the NBA became a billion-dollar machine, before shoe deals and TV contracts exploded into the empire we see today. Rodman reminds us that for nearly a decade, Jordan was earning less than some modern role players are making now. $3 million across almost 9 years is an absurdly low figure when you consider that Jordan was carrying the entire league on his back, elevating it from a regional game to a global powerhouse. He turned the NBA into a household brand worldwide, and yet he wasn't cashing in on supermax contracts or leveraging player empowerment clauses. He was simply playing, winning, and transforming basketball. LeBron James, in contrast, has benefited from that very foundation Jordan built. Every dollar LeBron earns, every endorsement he cashes in on, every billionaire label attached to his name, none of that exists without Jordan's sacrifices. Jordan made Nike what it is. He made the NBA a global television spectacle. He gave players the leverage they now enjoy. Yet Jordan never used his position to whine about being underpaid, nor did he allow it to distract from his mission. His motivation was legacy, not just luxury. He understood that his worth was far beyond the numbers on his paycheck, and instead of complaining, he maximized every opportunity on the court to build an empire that transcended sports. Rodman's reminder shatters one of the biggest myths surrounding this debate. People love to argue that LeBron is greater because he's amassed career wealth and longevity stats, but that completely ignores context. Jordan didn't play in an era that allowed players to build billionaire portfolios. He didn't have the luxury of cashing out hundreds of millions in salaries. What he had was an unrelenting will to dominate, and he turned every underpaid year into fuel for his legacy. The fact that Jordan is still seen as the greatest player in history, despite playing in an era of small contracts, proves that greatness has nothing to do with money or longevity. It has everything to do with performance. Jordan's fire was never stoked by dollar signs. It was stoked by championships, by legacy, and by the fear he put into his opponents every single night.
And people don't realize when Michael Jordan was playing, I think the first 8-9 years, he was barely making $3 million. Compared to these guys making $40 million.
This quote is pure Rodman, blunt and unfiltered, and it delivers a hammer blow to the LeBron versus Jordan debate. Rodman flat out states that if Michael Jordan played in today's NBA, he would average 50 points per game. 50. That number is not hyperbole when you truly understand who Jordan was and how today's rules are designed. In Jordan's era, the game was brutal. Defenders could hand check, big men could knock you to the ground, and every trip into the paint was a war. Jordan still dominated in that environment, averaging 30 points per game across his career, leading the league in scoring 10 times, and putting up historic numbers against defenses designed specifically to stop him. Now imagine that same assassin dropped into today's game. The league is built to protect scorers now. Hand checking is gone. Defensive 3-second rules force big men out of the paint. The pace is faster, spacing is wider, and shooters stretch the floor in ways that open lanes Jordan could exploit relentlessly. Modern rules essentially ban the kind of physical punishment Jordan endured nightly. A player of his skill set, mid-range mastery, explosive finishing, and unmatched footwork would be unstoppable. Rodman knows this firsthand. He battled Jordan in in practice every day, and he saw how much defenders had to bend and break the rules to even slow him down. If you can't put hands on Jordan, if you can't knock him down, if you can't crowd him in the mid-range, he's torching you for 40 before halftime. And let's not forget Jordan's mindset. He wasn't content just to score 30. He wanted to break your spirit. LeBron, for all his greatness, is a facilitator at heart, someone who wants to pass first, someone who shies away from killer instinct moments too often. Jordan was the opposite. He lived to attack. He would exploit every modern rule, every freedom of movement, every extra foul call, and he would do it with blood in his eyes. Rodman isn't exaggerating. 50 points per game in this era is not fantasy. It's a reality Jordan would carve out through sheer dominance, and that's why this debate always tilts back to him. Numbers, eras, narratives, they don't matter. Because when you place Jordan's fire in today's softer, offensive-friendly NBA, the result is absolute annihilation.
A lot of things went on, but as far as LeBron and Michael, if Michael played in this era, he'll average 50. They average 50 points.
Rodman's words here are both respectful and cutting. He acknowledges LeBron's greatness, but makes it clear that his top 3 all-time list does not include him. Instead, he names Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That omission is devastating for LeBron fans because Rodman isn't some casual commentator. He's a man who lived through Jordan's era, defended the greatest scorers, and played alongside legends. If he looks at the game and sees Kobe, Magic, and Kareem as the true top 3, it tells you something about how LeBron's legacy is perceived by those who lived at the pinnacle of basketball. Kobe Bryant earns his spot because he mirrored Jordan's mentality. He had that killer instinct, that obsession with perfection, and that relentless drive to destroy opponents. Magic Johnson earns his place because he revolutionized the point guard position, carrying an entire era on his back with Showtime dominance. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar belongs there because his scoring record stood for decades, his skyhook was unstoppable, and his longevity matched his dominance. These are players who didn't just compile stats, they altered the game itself. Rodman is saying LeBron, despite his greatness, doesn't measure up in that category. He's an all-time great, but not the kind of figure who transcends the game the way those 3 did. This matters because LeBron's entire GOAT argument rests on accumulation, long careers, total points, and sheer volume of statistics. But greatness is not just numbers. It's impact, it's legacy, it's fear. Kobe made opponents tremble. Magic made the NBA must-watch television. Kareem made defenses look helpless for 2 decades. Jordan, of course, sits above all of them as the god of basketball. LeBron, for all his accolades, is missing that one defining trait that separates icons from legends: transcendence. Rodman's list reminds us that the true greats don't just play the game, they redefine it. And in Rodman's eyes, LeBron has not reached that echelon.
LeBron's a great talent, no doubt. He's probably one of the top 3 players ever played, with Kobe, Magic, Kareem.
Rodman's testimony is powerful because it comes from a man who bled, battled, and triumphed in the crucible of Jordan's era. His words paint a picture that should settle this debate once and for all. Jordan didn't need to beg for loyalty. He commanded respect. He wasn't chasing dollars. He was playing for rings while being criminally underpaid. He thrived in the most brutal era of basketball and would average 50 if he played today. And when one of the most respected enforcers in the history of the game lists his top 3 players ever, LeBron James isn't even there. That isn't disrespect. It's reality. Michael Jordan's greatness is etched not only in the record books, but in the memories of those who played alongside him and against him. Dennis Rodman's words reinforce what fans already know in their hearts. Jordan was different. Jordan was feared. Jordan was respected. Jordan is the standard against which all others fall short. LeBron James is a legend, but Michael Jordan is untouchable. The gap between them is not measured in numbers or narratives. It's measured in legacy, dominance, and the eternal respect of his peers. And as long as voices like Rodman's echo through history, the truth will always be undeniable. Jordan is the GOAT. Dennis Rodman's words cut to the very core of Michael Jordan's DNA, as a leader and as a man who carried himself with a ruthless clarity of purpose. When Rodman says Jordan never asked him for anything except respect and money, it reveals a truth that separates Jordan from nearly every superstar that has come after him. Think about it. In today's NBA, players demand teammates adjust their games, take fewer shots, or accept diminished roles just to fit into a system tailored for their stardom. LeBron James, in particular, has built a career around orchestrating rosters to suit his needs, whether it was forcing the Cavaliers front office to bring in specific veterans, joining forces with Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami, or restructuring entire franchises around his preferences. Jordan, however, did not play that game. He didn't beg teammates to defer to him. He didn't chase validation by stacking the deck in his favor, and he never obsessed over micromanaging how everyone else played. What he demanded was simple: give him respect, and he'll give you greatness in return. Pay him fairly, and he'll repay that investment with championships. That kind of mentality is alien in today's league. It wasn't about politics, power plays, or backroom negotiations. It was about accountability.